Good morning, students. Welcome you all once again on the lectures on financial reporting. Students, today I'm going to cover Ind AS 41. This is very small standard and I would call it as a small and sweet standard, right? Ind AS 41 agriculture. And friends, this is kind of a unique standard if I talk about this standard. So we don't have any such kind of standard in our earlier accounting standards, in our earlier Indian GAAP, right? We don't have such kind of standard. While if I talk about Indian economy is also a agriculture rich economy, but we don't have any accounting standard on agriculture, okay, in our old accounting standards, right? We have the guidance only in terms of Income Tax Act, where it talks about your agriculture income is exempt up to certain threshold or up to certain limits. But how the accounting should be done for agriculture activity, agriculture item, biological asset. So no any accounting standard was dealing for that. But if I talk about Indian accounting standard, since Indian accounting standards are converged version of IFRS applicable to India, so we have Ind AS 41, which is nothing, which is converged version of IAS 41 applicable to India, right? Friends, in Ind AS 41, we have the agriculture standard. We have the guidance. We have the 4 pillars of accounting: recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of agriculture related item of biological assets. Okay. So friends, talking about the overall guidance, in accounting standard, there is no such standard. In Ind AS, it is Ind AS 41. In IFRS, it is IAS 41. Okay. Good. So very small standard, right? And we will be covering this standard today itself. We are starting this standard and we will be concluding this standard in today's class. Okay. Talking about the agenda. So we are going to talk about why this standard was issued, objective and scope. We'll talk about some definitions, and then the major part which we are going to cover is recognition, measurement, gains and losses, government grants, and disclosure part, right? This accounting part we will cover in detail, right? From the examination perspective or from the real life perspective, it is important to understand that what is the accounting, what are the recognition criteria, what is the initial measurement, what is the subsequent measurement, right? How to treat the gains and losses in agriculture for the agriculture items. So that is more important. And this standard also talks about the government grants. While we have a separate standard on government grant in DAS 20, which you have already covered, I believe. So, but this standard has also given some guidance relating to government grants. Okay. So we will be covering these 3-4 items in detail as far as accounting part is concerned, as far as practical part is concerned. Okay. And then the disclosures are there. Friends, what is the objective of this standard? And I can see a lot of students have joined. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tushar. Good morning, Hemant, Monica, Niranjan, Nisha, Ginny, Stephen, Sumit. Good morning. Few people must have joined on the offline portal. Good morning, Radhika. Good morning, Ridvi. Good morning. Yes. Talking about the objective of the standard, the objective of this standard is to prescribe the accounting treatment and disclosure for agricultural activity, right? So this standard talks about the accounting treatment and disclosure. So this standard talks about the recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure for agricultural activity. Okay. This standard addresses the following critical issues. What are the issues which have been addressed by this standard? When should a biological asset or agriculture produce be recognized in the balance sheet? Okay. When should a biological asset? What is a biological asset? Biological asset is a living animal or plant. Living animal or plant, not a dead animal. Biological asset is a living animal or plant. Okay. So when should a biological asset or agriculture produce be recognized on the balance sheet. Okay. What is agriculture produce? Agriculture produce is the harvested produce from a tree or from an animal. For example, apple tree. What apple tree gives you? What apple tree gives you? Apple. Apple tree will give you apple. Coconut tree. What coconut tree will give you? Coconut. So coconut and apple are agriculture produce. Okay. But when it is called as an agriculture produce, when it is harvested, when it is detached, when it is plucked from the tree, right? So when it is plucked, when it is harvested, when it is detached, it is called as an agriculture produce. Okay. Understood? So this standard talks about when should a biological asset, living animal or plant, or the outcome, the fruits, right? The fruits, the wool, the milk from cow. So when a biological asset or the outcome of the biological asset be recognized on the balance sheet, right? For example, let's say ITC. ITC is also into FMCG, or Nestle is also into FMCG. For example, this company has a mango orchard. Okay. So this company has a mango tree, and on the mango tree, there are mangoes, right? So when these mangoes needs to be covered in the balance sheet, when these mangoes, whether the on the mango tree, there are 100 ton of mangoes, right? So can we capitalize or can we took those mangoes on the balance sheet of Nestle or ITC when they are on the tree? Answer is not. They have to come to the balance sheet of Nestle or ITC when these mangoes are plucked, when these are detached, when these are harvested, right? Because when they are lying on the tree, it is part of the tree only, and you don't know whether due to natural calamities or due to the bird attack, whether those mangoes will survive or not. I mean to say whether these mangoes will be usable or not. Okay. So when it is plucked, when it is harvested, when it is detached, it will be called as an agriculture produce in the context of Ind AS 41. Right. At what value should a recognized biological asset or agriculture produce be measured? So the first part is recognition. The first question talks about the recognition. This standard will tell you when a living animal or plant or agriculture produce has to be recognized. The second question is measurement. At what value? For example, the company has a mango orchard. The company has 100 mango trees, and every mango tree will give you 1 ton of mango, right? Is there any cost to these mangoes? There is no cost. I mean to say negligible cost for maintaining the tree, for keeping a gardener, for plucking the mangoes. There is a minimum cost. There is a negligible cost, and there are 100 ton of mangoes. Okay. So for example, there are 10,000 kgs of mango. And what is the market price of the mango? For example, the market price of the mango is, let's say, 100 rupees per kg. So what is 10,000 multiplied by 100? 10,000 multiplied by 100, 10 lakh rupees, right? So friends, the market value of the mango is 10 lakh rupees. But if I talk about the cost of this 10,000 kgs of mango, it is minimal. It is nothing. Am I right? Am I right? Yes or no? Now the question is, if this company is using mangoes as a raw material, if this company would have purchased these mangoes, then this company has to incur a huge cost of raw material, right? So the question is, at what value these agriculture produce has to be measured, or these biological asset has to be measured, right? So this standard also gives you a unique criteria of measuring the biological asset and agriculture produce. So to cut a long story short, this standard also talks about the measurement of biological asset and agriculture produce. Third, how should the difference in value of recognized biological asset or agriculture produce be accounted between two different reporting dates? This is talking about the subsequent measurement. What is the subsequent measurement criteria of biological asset, right, or agriculture produce? Okay. And the last one is talking about the key disclosures. So recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure. So this standard will give you the 4 pillar of accounting: recognition, measurement, presentation, disclosure. Okay. Friends, talking about the scope, this standard shall be applied for the following when they're related to agricultural activity. Right? If I talk about the scope of this standard, we will be covering 3 aspects. Number 1, biological assets, which is living animal or plant. Number 2, agriculture produced at the point of harvest. Agriculture produced at the point of harvest. Right. Tell me, what is cow? Whether cow is a biological asset or not. Whether cow is a biological asset or not. Yes, cow is a biological asset. So what is the agriculture produced from cow? What is agriculture produced from cow?
Milk.
Milk is the agriculture produced from cow, right? So when the milkman is milking the cow and getting a milk, that milk is the agriculture produced. And I'll show you a real life example from the help of an annual report, right? So cow is a biological asset and milk is an agriculture produced. What about sheep? Whether sheep is a biological asset? What is the agriculture produced from sheep? Wool. Yes, wool is the agriculture produced from the sheep. So you understand biological asset, you understand agriculture produce. So agriculture produce is the outcome, is the fruit, is the vegetable, is the outcome from the biological asset when it is detached from the biological asset, when it is plugged from the biological asset, right? Then the third aspect is government grant. Which government grant, sir? We have already covered Ind AS 20 and we have a special standard on government grant, accounting for government grant and disclosure of government assistance. Sir, then this standard is covering which government grant? My dear friends, this standard covers those government grant if it is related to agricultural activity. If the government has given a government grant for biological asset and for agriculture produce, right? In that case, that government grant is not covered under Ind AS 20. That government grant is covered under Ind AS 41. For example, Parag. Have you heard about Parag milk and food? Parag milk. Have you heard about Parag milk? Mother dairy? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So basically, if the government has given a grant to maintaining the cows to Parag milk or to mother dairy, right? So these grant are for biological asset and hence these government grant has to be covered under Ind AS 41, not Ind AS 20, right? So we will be talking about 3 items: biological asset, agriculture produce, always remember at the point of harvest, and government grant. So we will be covering the recognition, measurement, presentation, and disclosure of these 3 items. Okay. When it is relating to agricultural activity. So this standard shall be applied for the following when they related to agricultural activity, right? Friends, there is a event management company and event management company has purchased some animals, right? For example, circus company, right? The circus company, have you heard about Cirque du Soleil? Have you heard about this is a circus company? Have you seen any circus? Yes. So you must have seen the circus where, the monkey is riding the bicycle and, the goat is sitting on the rickshaw and the lion is, jumping between the rings of the fire. Have you seen such kind of a circus? There are so many animals who are engaged for the entertainment of the audience, right? So friends, if there is an event management company or a circus company who is maintaining the animals, right? So whether those animals will be covered under Ind AS 41? Whether those animals will be covered under Ind AS 41?
No, sir.
You're right. No. Why? Because those animals are not engaged in the agricultural activity, right? So those animals are not engaged in the agricultural activity. Okay. Those animals are engaged for entertaining the audience, right? So while it is a biological asset, animals are the biological asset. The definition of biological asset is living animal or plant. They are biological asset, but those biological asset are not related to agricultural activity. Okay, right? Is that clear? Is that clear? Right? So friends, this standard is applicable only when biological asset is related to agricultural activity, agriculture produce at the point of harvest, and government grant, right? Ind AS 41 is not applicable to. Ind AS 41 is not applicable to what? Ind AS 41 is not applicable to land related to agricultural activity. While the agricultural activity, the farming is happening on the land, but land is not a item which is covered under Ind AS 41. Land will be covered under Ind AS 16 or Ind AS 40. Either it is a property, plant and equipment, or it is an investment property, right? Bearer plants. What is meant by bearer plants? Bearer plants are those plants, those trees which are giving the agriculture produce for more than 1 year, right? So bearer plants are covered under Ind AS 16, right? For example, apple tree, coconut tree, for example, apple, coconut, tea, coffee tree, right? So these are the bearer plants because they provide the agriculture produce for more than 1 year. Okay, and hence it is known as a bearer plant, right? So friends, bearer plants are covered under Ind AS 16. It is not covered under Ind AS 41, right? So under Ind AS 41, what is covered? Non-bearer plant are covered under Ind AS 41. For example, tomato. Tomato plant provides tomatoes only in the one season, okay, or less than 1 year. So these are covered, but bearer plant are not covered under Ind AS 41. But the agriculture produced on such bearer plant, for example, apple, coconut, tea leaves, coffee leaves, right, rubber, right. So these agriculture produce are covered under Ind AS 41. Okay, government grants related to bearer plant. Since bearer plant are not covered under Ind AS 41, if the government has given a government grant relating to tea tree, relating to coffee tree, in that case, that government grant is also not covered under Ind AS 41. It will be covered under Ind AS 20, right? Intangible asset. For example, the farmer has taken some license to do agricultural activity. So those intangible asset is also not covered under Ind AS 41. It is covered under Ind AS 38, right? For example, if the farmer is maintaining the tractor for the purpose of agriculture, right? So whether the tractor is an agricultural asset, whether the tractor will be covered under Ind AS 41, whether the tractor is a biological asset, is it agriculture produce? Answer is no. The tractor will be covered under Ind AS 16. Right of use asset related to a lease of a land related to agricultural activity. If the farmer or the company is owning a land, purchased a land, it is covered under Ind AS 16 or 40. But if the farmer or the company which is into agricultural activity has taken the land on a lease basis, right? Again, when they have taken a land on a lease basis, there is a right of use asset. We all understand about right of use asset because we have covered Ind AS 116, right? So that right of use asset related to lease of a land is also not covered under Ind AS 41. It is also covered under the respective standard. So these are the negative list. These are the exclusions like land, bearer plant, government grant, relating to bearer plant, intangible asset, right of use asset, property, plant and equipment. Okay. Agriculture produce after harvest. Okay. Once you have plucked the mango from the mango trees. So this standard is applicable for the agriculture produce only up to the point of harvest, only at the time of harvest. And thereafter, Ind AS 41 will not be applicable. Thereafter, other Ind AS will be applicable. For example, Ind AS to inventories. Okay. So friends, I'm just giving you a snapshot. I'm just giving you a theory, right? When we will enter into the practical aspect, you will be able to understand this standard more in detail. Okay. So far we have covered that this standard is applicable on these only three items. Which are the three items? Biological asset, if it is related to agricultural activity, then agriculture produce and government grant relating to these items. Okay. Then we have covered what is not included in the Ind AS 41. For example, if you are doing your farming or you are doing your agricultural activity on a land, that land is not a biological asset. That land is not something which is covered under Ind AS 41. Tractor, it is not under Ind AS 41. Intangible asset like license, it is not Ind AS 41 item. Okay. Bearer plant, it is again covered under Ind AS 16, not under Ind AS 41. Okay. Agriculture produce after harvest. So let's say a company Nestle. Okay. Nestle is into the business of, FMCG as well. They are manufacturing sauces, chutneys, toffees, chocolates. Okay. So if Nestle has a mango orchard, what is the nature of the mango tree? What is the classification of mango trees?
Bearer plant.
Bearer plant. And these mango trees are covered under Ind AS 16 or Ind AS 41? Ind AS 16. Very good. So mangoes on the mango tree. What is the nature of mangoes on the mango tree?
Agriculture produced and after they are
agriculture produce, but it is agriculture produce at the point of harvest. When it is on the tree, it is part of the tree, right? But when it is detached, when it is plucked from the tree, it will become the agriculture produce. Agriculture produce at the point of harvest. Agriculture produce at the point of harvest. Okay. And that agriculture produce at the point of harvest, right? It will be covered under Ind AS 16 or Ind AS 41?
after harvest, sir.
At the point of harvest, when this company is harvesting the mangoes, at the point of harvest, whether it is Ind AS 41 or some other standard. At the point of harvest, it is Ind AS 41, right? Agriculture produce at the point of harvest. When the company is plucking the mangoes, it is a Ind AS 41 item, okay? Now, the company has plucked the mango, the company has harvested the mangoes. Now, what is the nature of these mangoes for Nestle? Raw material, right? Raw material, inventory, correct? Because Nestle will use these mangoes for manufacturing of, sauces, chutney, soft drink, like slice, okay, maza, okay. So these are the raw material inventory for Nestle, right? So after the point of harvest, at the point of harvest, the accounting has to happen as per Ind AS 41. But once it is harvested, then subsequently it will become the inventory. It will be shifted from Ind AS 41 to Ind AS 2 inventory standard. Correct? Is that clear or not clear? Is that clear or not clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me take you to the Excel file. Please confirm if my Excel file is visible. Okay. And let me put some part of agriculture produce. Then I'll again come back to the theory. I hope my Excel file is visible to everyone. Okay. So friends, Ind AS 41 we discussed that Ind AS under accounting standard, under old accounting standard AS accounting standard AS, no standard on agriculture. Under IFRS, there is a globally IAS 41. Okay. Under Ind AS 41, right? And there is no difference between the global standard on agriculture and Indian standard on agriculture. There is no difference between IAS 41 and Ind AS 41, right? Then talking about this standard, so we have discussed that this standard is applicable. Ind AS 41 is applicable on three items. What? is applicable on what? Number one, biological asset. Biological asset. Number two, agriculture produce. Always remember, agriculture produce at the point of harvest, right? Number three, government grants. Government grants, right? Yes. When related to agriculture activity. Okay, when related to agriculture activity, right? Ind AS 41 not applies to bearer plants. For example, mango tree, apple tree, coconut tree, rubber tree. Okay. Then tea tree. You know, the life of the tea plant is more than 100 years. Coffee tree, etc., etc. Right? So Ind AS 41 not applies to bearer plants. Okay. For example, these items, these are the examples. However, Ind AS 41 applies to the agriculture produce of these bearer plants. For example, what is the example? So let me take the example in sequence. For example, mangoes. For example, apple. For example, rubber, that is latex. Okay. Tea leaves. Okay. Then your coffee leaves, etc. Fine. Right. Okay. Now let's talk about the agriculture produce at the point of harvest and after that. This is Nestle India Limited, and I have drawn a mango tree, right? While I know my drawing is very poor, so I have drawn a mango tree. This is the mango tree, correct? I have written that this is the mango tree. Friends, mango tree is a bearer plant covered under India 16, right? But what about mangoes? What about mangoes? Mangoes are the agriculture produce? Mangoes are the agriculture produce, right? Mango तो agriculture produce है ना? Yes or no? Mangoes are the agriculture produce. Okay. However, mangoes are the agriculture produce. So mangoes will be covered under Ind AS 41. Okay. So mangoes are the agriculture produce, covered under Ind AS 41. Okay. Now let's say today is 19th November. Let's say 19th November. The company has plugged 100 kgs of mangoes. The company has plugged 100 kgs of mangoes. The company has plugged 100 kgs of mangoes. Okay. So friends, when this company is plucking these 100 kgs of mangoes on 19th November, these mangoes are agriculture produce, correct? And these mangoes are covered under Ind AS 41. These are agriculture produce to be covered under Ind AS 41. Now the question is how these mangoes are recognized and accounted for, right? So friends, at the point of harvest, these mangoes are recognized and accounted for under Ind AS 41. And what Ind AS 41 says, right? It says that the mangoes, while there is no cost of these mangoes, very negligible cost. So these mangoes are measured at fair value less cost to sell. For example, the fair value per kg, the market value is there because every company is not have their own mango orchard, right? The companies are also purchasing mangoes as the raw material. Even Nestle is also purchasing, right? So fair value. What is the fair value of mangoes? What is the fair value per kg of mangoes? For example, fair value per kg of mango is 50 rupees per kg. 50 rupees per kg. Okay. Fair value per kg per kilogram. Let's say cost to sell. Cost to sell is 5 rupees. So what is my fair value less cost to sell? My fair value less cost to sell is 45 rupees. My fair value less cost to sell is 45 rupees, right? Correct. Friends, my fair value less cost to sell is 45 rupees. Tell me what is the entry on 19th November? Can anyone help me in the accounting entry when this company has 100 kgs of mangoes in their hand? What is the first entry? What is the first accounting entry on 19th November? क्या accounting entry होगी? What is the accounting entry?
Mangoes account debit.
Okay, so debit is very clear, correct? Because something is coming, there is some asset. So what is the first entry? 19th November. The first entry. Very good. The first entry is very clear. Mangoes account debit. Can I write agriculture produce account debit? Agriculture produce within bracket mangoes account debit. Okay. What is credit? You haven't paid any cash. Then what is credit? Because this is a double entry accounting, double entry system. To what? To standard says to other income, right? It has to go to the other income, right? To other income, right? So what is the amount? 100 kg multiply by 45 rupees, 4,500. So agriculture produce account debit to other income because you haven't paid anything, but you got 100 kgs of mangoes. If this company would not have this mango tree, mango orchard, this company has to purchase the mangoes from outside. So this is the income, right? They got this mangoes free of cost. So this entry is as per Ind AS 41, being agriculture produce, recognized as per Ind AS 41. Now, what is the next entry? What is the next entry? Whether this agriculture produce will live in the balance sheet always. What is the subsequent entry? This company will manufacture. What? Jam, sauces, chutney, toffee, chocolates. Correct? So this company will manufacture these items from these mangoes. Okay. So friends, this agriculture produce will become inventory. This agriculture produce will become inventory for this company. Right? It will become inventory. So what is the second entry? This was the first entry. What is the second entry?
Fresh good account debit to agriculture produce.
Second entry is immediately on 19th November, there is a second entry. Immediately on 19th November, there is a second entry. And what is the second entry? Second entry is, now you remember I have told you that agriculture produce after harvest. So this standard is only applicable to the agriculture produce at the point of harvest. After harvest, other standard will be applicable. Now it will become inventory as per Ind AS 2. Inventory account debit. To agriculture produce. Very good. So you will never have the agriculture produce in the balance sheet. Why? It will take a place of inventory. Correct? To agriculture produce. What is the value? same value which you have took from Ind AS 41, correct? So friends, only for the recognition and measurement, at the point of harvest, you need to apply Ind AS 41. You get the value from Ind AS 41, which is fair value less cost to sell. Now it will become your inventory. Now 31st March came. 31st March came.
Sir,
Hemant, it will be given in the question, right? Whenever in the exam, the cost to sell will be given in the question. And what is the cost to sell? For example, if there is some selling cost, right? Let's say if you have to pay some brokerage commission, you have to pay some taxes on like stamp duty. So these are the cost to sell. Okay. Yes.
sir, expenses borne by the company to grow up the mangoes where it should be recognized.
P&L.
Okay.
It is P&L item. So basically, the expenses for growing the mangoes means expenses for maintaining the tree, right? Like fertilizing, keeping a gardener, watering, right? So these are the maintenance expenses. Okay, because this mango tree is also covered under Ind AS 16. Okay, so all
And
this
sir, what
maintenance will
about
go
the
to.
plant? What about the land their mangoes has grown up? Then we should apply AS 16 for depreciation or accounting for plant on sorry, land for mango.
So I have already covered this part. I think you have joined late, right? So I have already covered this land related to agricultural activity will be covered under Ind AS 16 or Ind AS 40, not under Ind AS 41, right? All these land, tractors, licenses. So these are covered under the respective standard. Okay, not under
Actually,
Ind AS
sir,
40.
your voice got stuck many times, so I think I missed that.
Okay, okay, no problem. Whether my voice is okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what is the next entry at the date of subsequent measurement at the reporting date? What is the entry now? On 31st March, what will be the entry? So now
Cost
it
on
is,
whichever is less.
yes, you have to apply Ind AS 2. You have to apply Ind AS 2, right? So on 31st March, this inventory, this raw material, this inventory is a raw material, right? So in the balance sheet, this will come as a raw material inventory. So Ind AS 2 inventory standard will be applicable for measurement of inventory on reporting date, like cost or NRV, whichever is lower, like cost or NRV, whichever is lower. What is the cost for this item? 4,500, whichever is lower. Okay. Now, have you understood that this standard is applicable to the agriculture produce at the point of harvest, and beyond that, Ind AS 2 or other standard will be applicable? Correct? Let's go back to the presentation again. So we have covered this part, scope, right? What is included, what is not included, and agriculture produce after harvest. Okay. Friends, now with the help of this chart, we will understand the entire applicability of Ind AS 41, right? Friends, if I talk about this Ind AS 41, so this Ind AS 41 is applicable to the biological asset and agriculture produce at the point of harvest, right? There is no any problem on the agriculture produce, but what about biological asset? So there are two kind of a biological asset, living animal or plant, living animal or plant. If I talk about living animal, so this standard is applicable to the living animal, right? When it is related to agricultural activity, when it is related to agricultural activity. Okay, correct? When it is related to agricultural activity. So if the biological asset is used for transportation, have you seen that bullock cart? Have you seen the horses who are used in like Tanga? Have you visited Agra? You will find that horse cart where these horses are used for transportation, where the horses are used for, taking the passengers from here and there. right? So whether it is an agricultural activity, answer is no, right? So these animals will not cover under Ind AS 41 if it is not related to agricultural activity. These will be covered under Ind AS 16, right? Talking about plant are of two types: bearer plant, non-bearer plant. What is a bearer plant? Bearer plant are those plant which provide agriculture produce for more than 1 year, right? And it is covered under Ind AS 16, like tea tree, mango tree, coffee tree, apple tree, coconut tree. Okay. A non-bearer plant are those plant which provides agriculture produce within a year. And these are covered under Ind AS 41. These are covered under Ind AS 41, right? Is that clear? These are covered under Ind AS 41 agriculture standard. Is that clear, my dear friends?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are few examples of biological asset, agriculture produce, and products that are result of processing after harvest. Hemant is asking why not we take agriculture produce directly to inventory at the point of harvest. Hemant, first of all, what happened? There is a sequence, right? Since if this agriculture standard would not have been there, then what you are saying, we will do that only, right? But since this agriculture standard is there, and it talks about that how will you recognize and how will you measure the agriculture produce at the point of harvest. If you see the inventory standard, you know, this inventory standard says that inventory has to be measured at cost, right? Initially, at the time of initial recognition, if you have read Ind AS 2 inventory, if you have read Ind AS 16, Ind AS 38, you have read so many asset based standard, right? So except Ind AS 41, every other standard talks about recognition and measurement at cost, initial recognition at cost, right? But do you have the cost of these mangoes? Do you have the cost of these mangoes? Hemant, yes or no? Yeah, you don't have the cost of these mangoes, right? So if you will apply the fair value principle, it is defeating the principle of inventory standard because it says that inventory has to be initially measured at cost, but there is no cost. Then what to do? Then this company will not recognize, right? So how if a competitor ITC is purchasing this asset, purchasing this raw material, and Nestle is not purchasing the raw material, it is a homegrown material, then the result will not be comparable, right? Result will not be comparable. And hence, first you need to apply Ind AS 41. Ind AS 41 will give you the opening value of agriculture produce, right? Because it allows you fair value less cost to sell, because it is dealing with kind of items which for which the cost is not possible, right? And hence, but the market value is there. Okay. A small tomato plant will give you 50 kg of tomatoes, right? You just you just sow a seed, right? And that seed has costed you 1 rupee. You sow a seed, it will become a tomato plant, and this tomato plant has given you 50 kg of tomato in one season. What is the cost of tomato? If you go to the market, the cost of tomato, the current price is 40 rupees per kg. And you have only invested 1 rupee, correct? And every third to fourth day, you are just giving some water to that tomato plant. And even you have not given the water, right? This tomato, so whenever you are putting your garbage, you put some, so you put some tomato, and this tomato plant has, you know, itself grown up, and it is giving you tomatoes. Are you getting me what I'm trying to say? And that is why these kind of item like biological asset, agriculture produce, these kind of item has been dealt by Ind AS 41, correct? And it says that it does not talks about the cost. It talks about the fair value, market value less cost to sell. Okay. So these are the some examples given in the standard. Like on the left side, there are the biological asset. This is the agriculture produce, and these are the final products that are the result of the harvesting, processing after harvest. Okay. For example, sheep, it is a biological asset. Wool is an agriculture produce. And what is the final product? Yarn, carpet, woolen clothes, right? So these are the examples which are given. So what is biological asset? It is defined as a living animal or plant. What is agriculture produce? it is defined as the harvested produce of the entity's biological asset. Okay. Harvest means detachment of produce from a biological asset. Okay. What is agricultural activity? Agricultural activity involves biological transformation and harvest of biological asset for sale. For example, you are maintaining a poultry farm, chicken farm, right? And you are selling your chicken or hens, right? So these are for sale. So this is agricultural activity. Or for conversion into agriculture produce, you have apple orchard, apple garden, right? These apple tree will give you agriculture produce. Or for conversion into additional biological asset, the cow are giving birth to a calf, right? Or you are maintaining this poultry farm, or you are maintaining this farm where hens are giving eggs. Okay, so they are breeding. So these are known as the agricultural activity. It covers raising livestock, forestry, annual or perennial cropping, cultivating orchards, plantation, floriculture, aquaculture. So these are the agricultural activity. My dear friends, from examination perspective, identification is not that relevant. Accounting is relevant, right? Because you guys are not going to become a agriculture scientist. Okay. You guys are going to become a chartered accountant. Okay. Hemant is asking what will happen in the case of orchard owner when he pluck the fruits. So Hemant, we are talking about the companies, right? We are talking about the accounting in the books of the companies. Like big companies have their own gardens, right? So when this company is plucking the fruit, okay, for the purpose of benefit to the company, in that case, it has to be recognized as agriculture produce. Okay. Biological transformation. You will heard the word biological transformation. So what is meant by biological transformation? Biological transformation includes the process of growth, degeneration, production, procreation, which cause qualitative or quantitative changes in the biological asset, right? Qualitative or quantitative changes. Okay, when you grow older, right? For example, there is a kid, infant, toddler, teenage, adult, right? So this is a process of growth, right? Where there are changes in the body, wherever there are changes, qualitative changes, okay? And when a livestock, when a living animal, when a living item gives birth to another living item, so it is a quantitative changes, okay? So this biological transformation is the process of growth, degeneration, production, procreation. So just a theory. Fair value, the definition is given under Ind AS 113, more like a market value. Cost to sell is an incremental cost which is directly attributable to the disposal of an asset. If you are selling a agriculture produce, if you are selling a biological asset, what would be the cost which is going to be incurred, excluding finance cost and income taxes? Bearer plant is that plant which provides the goods, which provide the outcome for more than 1 year. Like for example, tea bushes, rubber tree, grapevines, oil palms, etc. However, the agriculture produce growing on bearer plant is a biological asset. Okay. Illustration number 1. ABC grows wines, harvests the grapes, and produces wine. Which of these activities are within the scope of Ind AS 41? Tell me. Which of these activities are in the process of Ind AS 41? Friends, ABC Limited grows wines. What is this wines? This grape plant, right?
Yes.
Right.
Other plant.
Yes. Grape plant harvests the grapes and produces wine. So this wine is different. This wine is different. This grows wines means lata hoti na lata. So grape plant. Okay. Then it harvests the grapes and produces wine. Which of these activities are in the scope of Ind AS 41? First of all, the grape wine is a bearer plant because it provides the grapes for more than 1 year. Okay. It will cover under Ind AS 16. Then it will provide you grapes. So when this company is harvesting the grapes, at the point of harvest, this agriculture produce will become Ind AS 41 item. Okay. So grapes will be recognized and accounted as Ind AS 41. After harvesting, these grapes will become a raw material, right, for manufacturing wines. And this wine also becomes a final finished product, right? So these grapes as a raw material, wine as a finished goods will be covered under Ind AS 2, right? So this is the answer for these items. Any doubt, any question here? Any question here, my dear friends? Any question? No question? Okay, let's move on. So the grapevines are bearer plants that continually generate crop of grapes, which are covered by Ind AS 16. When the entity harvests the grapes, the biological transformation ceases and they become agriculture produce covered by Ind AS 41. Wine involves a lengthy maturation period. This process is similar to the conversion of raw material to finished goods rather than biological transformation, hence treated as inventory in accordance with Ind AS 2. So you are not required to write such a technical answer in examination if this kind of question will come, right? You have to give a simple answer. Friends, now we reach to the recognition, right? You know, when I have taught you Ind AS 16 and Ind AS 38 or some other Ind AS relating to assets, for recognition criteria, I have given you two criteria for recognition of an asset. Can you tell me those two criteria?
Entity has control on the asset, means whatever increase in the asset or from asset has been in the control of the asset, and value certain benefits are there from future use of that asset.
So two items I have always told you. If you read Ind AS 16, Ind AS 40, Ind AS 38, there are two criteria for recognizing any asset. One, future economic benefit should be probable. Number two, cost can be measured reliably, right? In PP, it was there. In Ind AS 38, intangible asset, it was there. In Ind AS 40, investment property, it was there. Future economic benefit should be probable. If your future economic benefit is not probable, you are not going to recognize that asset. That asset is going to be impaired. Okay. Future economic benefit should be probable and cost can be measured reliably. Otherwise, how will you measure? How will you recognize that item in the books of accounts, right? So two things are very important. Number one, future economic benefit should be probable and cost can be measured reliably. If I talk about biological asset or agriculture produce recognition, at every point of time, this cost cannot be measured reliably. For example, if cow has given birth to a calf, there is a production, or there is a production of or generation of another biological asset. Okay, it has to be recognized, it has to be measured. But how will you arrive at a cost of that calf? How will you arrive at the cost of mangoes? How will you arrive at a cost of tomatoes? And you are harvesting those agriculture produce in bulk, in quantities. It has a value, but it does not have any cost. So friends, while in all other asset related standard, it talks about cost, but this standard talks about fair value oblique cost can be measured reliably. This standard also talks about fair value. You understand why? You understand why this standard talks about market value? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in addition to future economic benefit that is probable and fair value or cost can be measured reliably, for biological asset and agriculture produce, the third important item is entity should control that asset. Entity should control the asset, right? Entity controls the asset. When I talk about entity controls the asset, why it is important? So let me give you, with the help of an example, let me give you some examples to make you guys understand that for biological asset and agriculture produce, it is very important. It is very important to understand that this criteria is important to recognize a biological asset or agriculture produce in the books of accounts of a company. Let's say there was a factory, okay? And outside the factory, there was a street dog who always used to sit outside the factory, right? At the factory gate. So that street dog is a biological asset. It's a living animal. That street dog always sit outside the factory gate, and the factory owner gives the milk or bread to the dog. And the dog was so loyal. The dog was not allowed. The dog was always taking care of the factory gate, and he was not allowing any trespassers to enter into the factory. He started barking. Okay. So number one, if I talk about this dog, right, whether future economic benefit this entity is getting from the dog, answer is yes. Security. Security is also a form of future economic benefit. Like you are also capitalizing, your fire extinguisher, etc., as a property, plant and equipment, right? So this dog is giving us security. Number two, whether fair value of this dog can be measured reliably if you know the breed of this dog, right? If you know the breed of Sumit, it is not an agriculture produce. I'm talking about biological asset, right? Because biological asset is also covered under this standard. Like cows are covered under this standard. So if you will get to a veterinary valuer, right? Like there is a veterinary market also. There is an animal market also where the expert will tell you the breed of the dog and they will tell you the fair value of the dog, right? But the question is, if you are getting the future economic benefit, the fair value of the dog can be measured reliably. So can you recognize that dog on your balance sheet?
कंट्रोल नहीं है सर उस पे, he's
Yes,
sitting
उस पे
outside.
कंट्रोल नहीं है. If tomorrow municipality will come, if tomorrow the municipality will come and they are catching the street dog and they are taking the dog to the shelter, their shelter, can you stop that municipality to take the dog from you? You cannot stop.
Okay.
You cannot stop, right? It means you don't have the control over that dog, right? It means you don't have a control over the biological asset. And when you don't have a control over the biological asset, you cannot recognize that biological asset into your books of accounts. Okay. Is that clear? Have you understood why control is important in this case? Why control is important under Ind AS 41? Because you are dealing with the items which are biological assets, which are kind of an animal or a plant. Second example. The company is into the business of manufacturing soft drinks, right? And let's say there is a kind of, factory premises. There is another land also belonging to some other person. Okay. Now, in the premise of the neighbor, there was a mango tree. Some branches of mango tree was tilting towards this company premises, right? आपने देखा होगा ना, वो कुछ क्या होता है, कुछ ब्रांचेस हमारी तरफ आ जाती हैं, कुछ ब्रांचेस दूसरे की उसमें चली जाती हैं, बाउंड्रीज के बाहर. आपने देखा होगा ना. एंड दोज ब्रांचेस आर आल्सो हैविंग सम मैंगोस, करेक्ट? So this company is plucking those mangoes because the 25% of the branches, 25% of the branches are tilting towards this factory, this company. So this company is plucking those mangoes, correct? So future economic benefit is probable, answer is yes. Fair value can be measured reliably, answer is yes. But can this company recognize this agriculture produce in their balance sheet?
No.
No. Why, Hemant? Why no?
It's not his own property belonging to his land or his portion of area.
Control. So
Control नहीं है.
basically, this company is not controlling that asset. Means if tomorrow the owner of that land, the owner of that mango tree decided to cut the branches which are tilting towards this company, so this company cannot stop him in doing so. Am I right? होता है ना?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But if this mango tree will belongs to you, in that case you can stop him. Okay. So आपका मैंगो ट्री तो आपका कंट्रोल है ना, बट दिस मैंगो ट्री डजंट बिलोंग्स टू यू, while you are getting the economic benefit, right? You are enjoying the fruits, but it is not within your control, and hence you are not required to recognize this agriculture produce. Just pluck the mango and enjoy the mango, right? It is not covered under Ind AS 41, right? So my dear friends, my dear students, again I am reiterating one fact. We are not going to become an agriculture scientist today after this class. We are becoming a chartered accountant. We are thinking towards how these items are going to be accounted and measured. Correct? So the first thing is always a recognition. You know, 4 pillar of accounting तो अब तक सबको पता लग गया होगा. 4 pillar of accounting. RMPD. Very good, Hemant. RMPD. Recognition, measurement, presentation, disclosure. So recognition. When a biological asset or agriculture produce is going to be recognized, when 3 conditions will be satisfied. Future economic benefits should be probable, fair value or cost can be measured reliably, and the entity should control the asset, right? When these 3 conditions will be satisfied, then you can recognize that biological asset or agriculture produce. I hope it is clear to everyone now. I have given one example of biological asset and one example of agricultural produce. Right. And my dear friends, to be covered under this standard, of course, this biological asset and agricultural produce should be related to agricultural activity. This is the first thing which we have read and understood, right? So biological asset or agricultural produce, if related to agricultural activity, will be covered under Ind AS 41, right? Okay. So let's say the company has purchased a lion. This is a circus company, and this is a tame and trained lion. Okay. This lion is, will this lion give you the, will this lion give the future economic benefit to the company? This is not a wild lion. This is a tame and trained lion. And this is a circus company. Yes, it will give the future economic benefit. Whether the fair value or cost can be measured reliably? Yes. The company has purchased the lion. Whether the company is controlling the lion? Yes, since the company has purchased, like you are purchasing dogs, right? Doberman, German Shepherd, right? So this entity is also controlling. This control comes from the purchase also. Okay. This company is a license to purchase the lion. Okay. So all these 3 conditions are satisfied. Whether this lion in the books of this company will be a biological asset under Ind AS 41?
No, sir.
Purpose
Then
is
what?
not for agriculture.
Sir, it is not used for agriculture activity.
Yes, it is not used for agricultural activity. While these 3 conditions are satisfied, it does not mean that it is a Ind AS 41. It has to be accounted for under Ind AS 41. No, it is a property, plant and equipment. It is Ind AS 16 item. Okay, that is not Ind AS 41 item. So my dear friends, if a biological asset is related to agricultural activity, then you need to check 3 conditions. Whether future economic benefit is there, whether fair value can be measured reliably, whether the entity is controlling. In that case, it will be covered under Ind AS 41. Okay, biological asset. Is that clear? I believe after these examples, there is a clarity in mind, not clarity from mind. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Friends, after recognition, we have reached to the measurement. Okay. So biological asset and agriculture produce, right? 3 items we are going to cover: biological asset, agriculture produce, and government grant. Government grant comes in the last. There are 2 assets: biological asset, agriculture produce, right? This agriculture produce comes from the biological asset. It is clear to everyone now. Cow is a biological asset. Milk is a agriculture produce, right? Mango tree is a biological asset, living plant, but it is a bearer plant, and hence mango tree is not covered under Ind AS 41. It is covered under Ind AS 16. But mangoes are the agriculture produce which is covered under Ind AS 41 at the point of harvest, right? Tomato plant, cauliflower, tomato, mint, right? Coriander, okay? Potato, carrot. These are the non-bearer plant, right? These are the biological asset, and their output is also the biological, their output is also the agricultural produce. Okay, so both these items are covered under Ind AS 41. Okay, so friends, biological asset, and largely this biological asset is animal, largely. Okay, so biological asset has to be initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. Biological asset has to be initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. Okay. What about agriculture produce? Agriculture produce has to be initially measured at fair value less cost to sell and subsequently at what value?
Cost or NRV, whichever is less as
Yes.
inventory.
Think like a chartered accountant. There is no subsequent measurement of agriculture produce. There is no subsequent measurement. Why? Because at the time of initial recognition, agriculture produce has to be measured at fair value less cost to sell. But immediately after the recognition, it will transfer to other assets, be it inventory, right? Be it inventory. So cost or NRV, whichever is lower, is not for agriculture produce, it is for inventory. ये तो दूसरे स्टैंडर्ड में चला गया ना अब. So there is no subsequent measurement of agriculture produce after harvest. Right?
Yes, sir.
There is no subsequent measurement of agriculture produce after harvest. Why? Because it has been transferred to other standard, like Ind AS 2. Okay? So then the rules of Ind AS 2 will become applicable. Right? So biological asset has to be initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. But agriculture produce has to be initially measured at fair value less cost to sell and then it has to be transferred to other standard. समझ आ गया ये या नहीं समझ आया? Is that clear or clear?
Clear.
Clear? Okay. So friends, for agriculture produce, it has to be measured at fair value less cost to sell. And after that, what happened after that? The fair value measurement of agriculture produce at the point of harvest is the cost of that produce for subsequent accounting as per Ind AS 2 or other applicable standard. Right? So biological asset तो होगा, but agriculture produce बाद में नहीं होगा. Correct? क्यों नहीं होगा? Because it will take the form of other standard, other item. Illustration number 2. And if there is a difference between the initial measurement and subsequent measurement, what will happen then? There is a biological asset like cow. At the time of initial recognition, the fair value less cost to sell was 100 rupees. And on reporting date, the fair value less cost to sell become 80 rupees. 120 rupees. So where this 20 rupee will go? Where this 20 rupee will go?
Revaluation, sir. India 16.
No. That subsequent measurement is also captured under Ind AS 41. Na? So whenever there is a change in the fair value, it will go to the P&L. It will go to the P&L. Whenever there's a gains and losses, it will go to the P&L. Okay. So before taking to illustration number 2, let me give you more clarity in the form of some examples on Excel file. Then I'll come to the BOS material, right? Okay. So please confirm if my Excel file is visible to everyone. Please confirm if it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible? Okay. So let me give you more examples so that you will have 100% clarity. Example. So example. ABC Private Limited has coconut farms and they are into the business of selling coconuts. Draft accounting entries for capturing the below events. 31st August 2021, the company has plucked 1,000 coconuts. On that date, the fair value less cost to sell is rupees 10 per coconut. On 25th September 2021, the company has sold 800 coconuts at the rate 15 rupees per piece. On 31st March 2022, the company has 200 coconuts are lying in the godown. Correct? ठीक एग्जाम्पल इसकी मैं बताऊं आपको अकाउंटिंग एंट्री एंड अकाउंटिंग पूरी. Yeah? Are you okay with this example? Okay. So let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Okay. These, let's say as a paragraph in a big question, as a paragraph, these few events are given. Okay. So what is the accounting entry? Solution. 31st August 2021. 31st August 2021. What is the accounting entry? First accounting entry, tell me. The company
Agriculture,
is like 1,000
Agriculture
coconuts. What is the accounting entry?
agriculture produce debit to other income.
Agriculture produce coconut. Account debit to other income. What is the value? What
1000
is the value?
multiplied by 10.
What is the fair value less cost to sell?
1000
The
multiplied by 10.
1000 multiplied by the fair value less cost to sell is given 10. 10,000. Okay. Being agriculture produce recognized at the point of harvest. Okay. Under Ind AS 41. Perfect. So Ind AS 41 will be applicable here. Ind AS 41 will be applied. What is the next entry? What is the next
Inventory
entry
account.
immediately?
Inventory account debit to agriculture produce.
On the same date, what is the next entry?
Inventory account debit to
Inventory
agriculture.
account debit. Inventory account debit to agriculture produce, right? To agriculture produce. This is moved to inventory now. What is the amount? Same amount, 10,000. Now it become Ind AS 2 item. Okay. Ind AS 2. 25th September 2021. They have sold 800 coconuts at 15 rupees per piece. 15th September 2021.
25th, sir.
Sorry, 25th September. What is the accounting entry? Cash account debit. पैसा आया. How much is cash account debit? 800 multiplied by
800. 800.
800 multiplied by 15, right? 12,000. To what? What is the accounting entry? To inventory.
Inventory.
To inventory. By what
8,000.
amount?
Cost 8,000.
800 multiplied by cost.
10.
What is the cost? 10 rupee. 8,000. Then what is the remaining thing? To profit on sale. P&L. Right? Then 31st March 2022. What is the accounting entry on 31st March 22? क्या होगा? 200 कोकोनट गोडाउन में है, तो क्या होगा? 31st March 22 को कोई अकाउंटिंग एंट्री होगी क्या?
सर नहीं होगी.
Accounting entry will happen if there is a NRV which is below than cost, right? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Correct? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Okay. So let me put one more item here. Let's say NRV of the coconut on 31st March is rupees 9 per piece. What is the accounting entry now? कोई accounting entry होगी?
The P&L account debit to inventory 1 rupee.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So impairment loss on inventory debit, it will go to P&L. To what? To inventory. ठीक है ना ये एंट्री? सबको पता है ना ये वाली
Yes, sir.
एंट्री?
Yes, sir.
Being inventory recognized at cost or NRV, whichever is lower, 200 item into 1 rupee. So inventory recognized at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Inventory revalued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Okay. Inventory revalued at cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I hope with this example, you have understood the entire flow of agriculture produce, right? Correct? And agriculture produce, the accounting has to happen from the perspective of Ind AS 41 only at the point of initial recognition. At the time of subsequent recognition, it will subsequently transfer to other asset and other standard will be applicable. Okay. Next example. Now let's take an example of biological asset. So this was the agriculture produce. Agriculture produce. Are you finding these examples relevant? Are you finding this example useful?
Yes, sir.
Biological asset. Okay, so in this example, I'll give you the entire life cycle of the biological asset, right? The purchase of biological asset, initial measurement, then subsequent measurement, then your birth of a biological asset, death of a biological asset. So I'll give you the entire accounting entries and accounting with the help of this example, right? Friends, so we are discussing these measurement concept, right? These are the measurement concept. For example, on 1st July 2021, the company has acquired a cow, which is a biological asset, right? And the company has purchased the cow at rupees 10,000. Okay. So 1st July 2021, the company has purchased a cow, which is a biological asset at rupees 10,000. Right. Now this is the cost. But what is the initial measurement criteria? What is the initial measurement? This biological asset has to be measured at fair value less cost. Fair value less cost to sell.
Yes, sir.
Fair value less cost to sell. So what is the fair value? If this company has acquired this biological asset at market price, what is the market value?
10,000.
So standard says
10,000.
that biological asset has to be measured at fair value less cost to sell. What is the fair value in this case? Fair value क्या होगी? वही वैल्यू होगी जिस पे आपने खरीदा है, राइट? क्योंकि मार्केट वैल्यू पे ही तो खरीदा है, तो फेयर वैल्यू भी यही होगी. Now, what is your cost to sell? So you have to see the cost to sell. You have purchased the asset. Now, if you have to sell this asset into the market, you have to bear some cost. You have to bear some cost, correct? For example, selling commission. For example, some transportation. Okay. So to bring the asset into a sellable condition, let's say there is a veterinary market, there is an animal market. You have to take this animal, you have to take this cow to the market and it will carry some cost, transportation cost. So that is a cost to sell to bring the asset into the sellable condition, right? Yes or no? So for example, the cost to sell is how much? Is let's say 1,000 rupees. The cost to sell is 1,000 rupees. What is your fair value less cost to sell? What is your fair value less cost to sell?
9,000.
9,000 is your fair value less cost to sell. $9,000 is your fair value less cost to sell. Okay. 9,000 is your fair value less cost to sell. Are you clear with this thing? 9,000 is the fair value less cost to sell. Yeah. Are you clear on this aspect? So now I'm giving you the accounting entries. That what are the accounting entries? So friends, in case of purchase of a biological asset, right? Like in this example, this biological asset was purchased on 1st July 2021. On which date it has been purchased? 1st July 21. So this biological asset at the time of initial measurement has to be measured at fair value less cost to sell. So what is the accounting entry? Accounting entry बताओ मेरे को फटाफट. इस biological asset का initial measurement पे क्या accounting entry करूं?
So biological asset account at 9,000. Loss on initial recognition that will go to P&L will be of rupees.
So hold on. Biological asset account debit. Okay. So go by step. At what value I should recognize my biological asset? 9,000. which is at fair value less cost to sell. How much cash I have paid to acquire this biological asset?
10,000.
To cash account. You always need to pass the entries on which you have 100% clarity. First of all, you need to pass only those entries. So I know I have paid 10,000 rupees. I know the fair value less cost to sell is 9,000 rupees. Where the difference will go now?
P&L.
P&L. Which P&L? Which item like? Like loss on initial recognition. Loss on initial recognition in P&L. Debit. Okay. 10 minus 9. Are you okay with this accounting entry? Are you okay with this accounting entry?
Yes, sir.
So this was the initial measurement. Now assuming on 31st March 2022, right? Reporting date. The fair value less cost to sell. The fair value less cost to sell has increased to 9,500. 9,500. The annual become expensive. It has increased to 9,500. 9,500. So what is the accounting entry on 31st March 2022? What is the accounting entry? Subsequent measurement. Subsequent measurement. March 2022. Again, at fair value less cost to sell. So what is my fair value less cost to sell? 9,500. What was my initial value? 9,000. So what should I do? I have to
Debit biological.
debit biological asset. By what amount? 9,500 minus 9,000. Minus 9,500. What credit I have to make? To cash?
No, gain.
To
Gain due
to gain on revaluation. Okay, or instead of using word revaluation, you will get confused, right? Gain on subsequent measurement. Okay, gain on subsequent measurement. Credit. Perfect. So this initial and subsequent gain or loss will go to your will go to your
P&L.
P&L, right? So this will be to gain on subsequent measurement will go to other income. Let's write it as a other income. Okay. Any problem? Is that clear? Initial measurement, subsequent measurement in case of purchase of a biological asset. Any problem? है क्या कोई problem?
No, sir.
Now, the second example, this cow has given birth to a calf. This biological asset has given birth to a calf. What is the accounting of this calf? The accounting of this calf was not happening in the old days, but now the accounting of this calf will happen. What is the accounting of this calf? Again, this is again a biological asset. ये भी तो biological asset है, तो accounting किस पे होगी? Cost
Biological
नहीं है?
assets to other income.
Cost to sell.
Fair value less cost to sell. So let's say the fair value less cost to sell of this calf is 1,000 rupees. What is the accounting? Biological asset debit to bank.
Other income.
Sorry, other income. So biological asset calf account debit. Calf account debit to other income. What is the amount? 1,000. Okay. At fair value less cost to sell. Correct? Any challenge? Now, end of the life of biological asset. This biological asset, for example, this calf was not able to survive, right? This calf was not able to survive. What is the accounting entry? What is the accounting entry? This calf was not able to survive. So first of all, you need to credit this biological asset to biological asset, calf, credit तो करेंगे ना, किस वैल्यू पे? जो वैल्यू आ रही थी उस पे क्रेडिट कर देंगे. डेबिट क्या होगा?
Loss on D.
Loss on derecognition. Debit. If the company has sold the residual of this calf to some slaughterhouse or to someone else, and the company has got some proceeds, then, for example, the company has got some proceeds from the sale of this calf, the body of this calf, then bank cash account debit, whatever they have got to biological asset, difference will go to the loss on derecognition. Correct? Is that clear? Is that clear, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the accounting entry. I hope this accounting entry is clear to everyone. So friends, now we will do some examples from the ICAI study material. We'll do some illustrations. This is the entire accounting of biological asset and agriculture produce. Correct? So let's have a 10 minutes break. It's 8:25 now. We'll start at 8:35 and we'll solve some questions. Okay, practical questions. Right? Let's have a break for 10 minutes. Ashokji, break. Let me show you an annual report, right? And after that, I'll take some questions, okay? Shall I show you the annual report?
Yes, sir.
See, this is an annual report of Parag Milk and Food Limited, right? This is Parag Milk and Foods Limited. So this is annual report for 21-22. So let me take you whatever I have explained, whatever I have told you, whatever I have taught you. So let me explain that with the help of this annual report. Okay. So let me take you to the balance sheet. Let me take you to the other aspects. So balance sheet, page number 102. Balance sheet. If I talk about this balance sheet, so can you see this balance sheet? So in the balance sheet, there is an item. If you see this balance sheet, you will find there is an item biological asset other than bearer plant. Note number 6. 505.5 million means 50 crores, 51 crores almost, right? Biological asset other than bearer plants. Okay, 51 crore. Please remember this note number 6. Okay, biological asset other than bearer plant. And then after balance sheet, there is a P&L. In the P&L, there is a item called other income, right? Note number 28. Will you remember this note number 28 and note number 6? Will you remember this item? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go to the accounting policy. So in the accounting policy, there is a basis of measurement, right? And in the basis of measurement, it is written that the financial statement have been prepared on the historical cost basis. I mean to say cost model, except on the cost basis, except for the following item. Biological asset. What is written for biological asset? It is at fair value. Means the measurement is at fair value less cost to sell, but it is at fair value, not cost. Okay. Then what is the accounting policy for biological assets? Let's read that accounting policy as well. A biological asset is a living animal or plant. An entity shall recognize a biological asset when and only when the entity control the asset. You remember the recognition criteria? It is probable that future economic benefit will received and the fair value or cost of the asset can be measured reliably. Have I explained these 3 criteria for the recognition of a biological asset? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then measurement. A biological asset shall be measured on initial recognition and at the end of each reporting period at its fair value less cost to sell. Initial measurement and subsequent measurement. Cost to sell are the incremental cost directly attributable to the disposal of an asset, excluding finance cost and income taxes, right? A gain or loss arising on initial recognition of a biological asset at fair value less cost to sell. Tell me when a loss will arise on the initial recognition of a biological asset. Loss कब arise होगा biological asset के initial recognition में? When the biological asset has purchased at a cost, but you are recognizing at fair value less cost to sell, right? At that point of time, a loss will arise. But if the biological asset has given birth, if the biological asset is newly born biological asset, it will always be an income. It will always be a gain, correct? A gain or loss arising on initial recognition of a biological asset at fair value less cost to sell and the changes from opening to closing, right? And the changes in fair value less cost to sell of a biological asset shall be included in profit or loss for the period in which it arises. Okay. So biological asset, which is livestock, which is cows in this case, are measured at fair value less cost to sell with any change therein recognized in the statement of profit or loss. whatever is written in this accounting policy of a listed company, is it something which is heard or is it something which is blank? सुना सुना लग रहा है, सुना सुना लग रहा है?
Heard, sir.
Heard, not blank. Very good.
No, sir.
Okay. Now let's go to the note number 6. You remember I told you note number 6, biological asset other than bearer plant. So let's go to the note number 6. Biological asset other than the bearer plant. Livestock cows. Opening balance 402 million, 40 crores. Less decrease due to sale or disposal 17 million. Add or less change in fair value less cost to sale. Change in fair value less cost to sale 120 million, right? 120 million. 12 crore. Your 12 crore is the changes in fair value less cost to sale. Okay. Your closing balance is 50 crores. So if you see this 12 crore, it is written that it represents change in price as well as changes on account of biological transformation. There have been no new purchases or acquisition of biological asset. You can see the value of biological asset has been increased by 12 crore, right? But there is no new purchases. Either there are newly born cows, newly born calves, or there is a change in the price due to price change or due to changes on account of biological transformation. When you read this standard or when you got the question in the examination, so the fair value is changing due to two reasons. Number one, due to price change. Number two, due to physical change. And this physical change is called as a biological transformation. फेयर वैल्यू दो रीजन से चेंज होती है. कौन से दो रीजन? एक तो प्राइस चेंज होता है, दूसरा बायोलॉजिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की वजह से, फिजिकल चेंज की वजह से. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर इज अ 3 years काउ और देयर इज अ काउ हुज एज वाज 3 years, right? So the fair value of that cow was 10,000 rupees. Okay. After 6 months, on 31st March, still the price of the cow, 3-year age cow is 10,000 only. So is there any price change for the same age of cow? Is there any price change? It was 10,000, it is 10,000. Any price change for the same age of cows? No change. No change. But 6 months ago, this cow was 3 years old, and now this cow is how much? This cow is 3.5 years old. This cow has grown by 6 months. While there is no price change for the same age of cow, but since the age of cow has been this cow has grown up, the age has been increased. So the price of 3.5-year-old cow is, let's say, 11,000 rupees. Okay. So friends, what is the change in fair value in this case? When we purchased the cow, the fair value was 10,000. But since now this cow has become 3.5 years old, and for the price for 3.5-year-old cow is 11,000 rupees now. What is the fair value change in this case? 1,000 rupees the fair value change, right? And whether it is due to price change or whether it is due to physical change, means change due to biological transformation. Biological transformation, right? So in the question, you will get two kind of change: price change and physical change. Physical change means biological transformation, right? While the impact is same, the impact, it has to go to other income. The fair value changes you need to take. So in this case, for example, you can see the biological asset other than bearer plant has been debited, right? And that is why it is increasing the value of the asset. And the credit, where the credit will go? Where the credit will go? This 12 crore, 120 million, where it will go?
Profit and loss.
Profit and loss.
In profit and loss, where? Other income. Other income. You're right, Hemant. Other income. Correct? So let me take you to the other income schedule. Will you remember this number of 120? Will you remember this number of 120? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Let me take you to the other income schedule. Other income schedule. Are you able to see the other income schedule, note number 28? Can you see this fair value changes livestock? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see this number 120.6 million?
20.6.
Yeah. So this number was there in note number 6 also. So this was credit. Biological asset account debit 120 to other income 120. Correct. So with this, I have shown you the entire accounting policy, presentation, balance sheet of this biological asset. Okay. And there are a lot of disclosure requirement also. I'm just showing you the disclosure requirement, not relevant from the exam perspective. Let me show you the disclosure requirement. Just a minute. Page number 129. You can see what kind of disclosure is required under Ind AS 41 as well. Nature of activity is required to be disclosed. The subsidiary company's biological asset comprises of livestock, dairy cows. Livestock is measured at fair value less cost to sell with any resulting gain or loss recognized in the statement of P&L. The subsidiary company livestock comprise of both mature and immature livestock. Then they have defined what is immature livestock, right? What is mature livestock? Okay, they have defined. Okay, then they have bifurcated this biological asset into 3 parts: immature cow, mature cow, other cows. Okay. Then they have given the head count. You can see the head count has been increased to 2611 from 2394. And they haven't purchased any single cow. So why this head count has increased? So how come this head count has increased?
Biological transformation.
Biological transformation. This cow has given birth to another cows, the calves, right? And they have also given total milk production, right? So these kind of disclosures are also required in Ind AS 41. Have you got some comfort after looking at the real life listed company annual report on the application of Ind AS 41? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So have you understood the accounting recognition, measurement, biological asset, agriculture produce, initial, subsequent, correct? Okay. So now let's quickly discuss illustration number 2. A farmer owned a dairy herd of 3 years old cattle as at 1st April 2001 with a fair value of 13,750 and the number of cattle in the herd was 250. So the age of the cattle was 3-year-old on 1st April. Fair value 13,750 and the number of cattle in the herd was 250. The fair value of 3-year-old cattle as on 31st March 2002 after 1 year was 60 rupees per cattle, right? So what was the fair value as on 1st April 2001? 13,750 divided by 250. What is the fair value?
55, sir.
55 rupees per cattle. And what is the value of 3-year-old cattle after 1 year? 60 rupees per cattle, right? So earlier it was 55, now it has become 60. Whether this 5 rupee change is a price change or a physical change?
Price change.
Price change, right? Because 3-year-old cattle price was 55, 3-year-old cattle price was 60. But whether this cattle is still 3-year-old or it become 4-year-old?
It become 4-year-old.
4-year-old.
75 applicable.
The fair value of 4-year cattle as on 31st March 2002 is 75 rupees per cattle. So tell me, what is the price change? What is the physical change? If I talk about fair value change, what is the change on account of price? What is the change on account of physical?
Change on a price 75 minus 55.
What is the total change in fair value? What is the total change in fair value? It was 55 rupees. Now it becomes 75 rupees, correct? Because it is a 4-year-old cattle. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Even though if the age of cattle was not increased, what was the fair value on 31st March 2002? 60 rupees.
60.
And what is the fair value as of now? 75. So 5 rupee is the price change. 15 rupee is the physical change.
Fair
Right?
value change.
The total fair value change is 75 minus 55, 20 rupees. 5 rupees on account of price change, 15 rupees on account of physical change. Calculate the measurement of the group of cattle as on 31st March 2002, stating price and physical change separately. Right? So friends, what is the fair value? 13,750. What is the increase due to price change? 250 multiplied by 60 minus 55. 1250. Increase due to physical change, 250 multiplied by 75 minus 60. 3750. This is the fair value. Any doubt here? Any doubt in this question?
No, sir.
Whether this
Clear.
price change, physical change is clear to everyone? Yes or no? Please tell me. Yes, it is clear? Okay. So gains and losses I've already covered. This is already covered. That gains and losses on initial recognition, subsequent measurement, right? When the biological asset was born, so when it got died, so everything is taken. If there's a decrease in fair value, again, if there's a decrease in fair value, it will go to impairment loss, right? Under P&L. Other expenses. Nisha, it will go to other expenses. Illustration number 3. XYZ Limited. Please read this illustration number 3 quickly. Please read this illustration number 3. What is illustration number 3? XYZ Limited on 1st December purchased 100 sheep from a market for rupees 5 lakh. What is the price per sheep? 5,000. Okay. The transaction cost of 2% on the market price of the sheep was incurred, which was paid by the seller. Which was paid by the seller. Means not the buyer, not by us. Okay, not by XYZ. But what is the cost to sell? But what is the cost to sell which the seller has to pay?
2%.
2% of 5 lakh. And what is this 2%? 10,000. Sheep's fair value increased from 5 lakh to 6 lakh on 31st March 2004. Okay. So on the reporting date, the fair value will become 5 lakh to 6 lakh. Transaction cost of 2% would have to be incurred by the seller to get the sheep to the relevant market. Right. This is the transportation cost. So friends, determine the fair value on the date of purchase and the reporting date and pass the necessary journal entries thereon. What is the accounting entry on the initial and subsequent recognition? Tell me quickly. The cost was 5 lakh
Biological
rupees.
assets.
Yeah.
Biological assets account debit.
To
Hello.
So biological assets sheep account debit to bank.
To
So
bank.
at what value? At what value this sheep was purchased? 5 lakh rupees.
5 lakh.
To bank 5 lakh rupee. But what is the fair value less cost to sell?
4 lakh
Sir,
90,000.
10,000. 10,000, 4 lakh 90,000 in
4
the
lakh
biological.
90,000. So biological asset account debit 4 lakh 90,000 to bank account 5 lakh. Loss on initial recognition debit 10,000. Right? Is this entry right?
Yes, sir.
This was the initial. This was the initial recognition. Now, the subsequent recognition is also at fair value less cost to sell. So now it becomes 6 lakh. So what is the next accounting entry on the subsequent measurement?
Biological asset account debit to other income या फिर gain and loss.
To other
Gain or-
income. Yes, to other income. But what is the value? What is the value? Initial recognition was at 4 lakh 90,000. It has become 6 lakh. The market value has become 6 lakh.
So after 2% reduction, we will take that is 5,88,000.
Yes, even the subsequent measurement will happen at fair value less cost to sell. The fair value is 6 lakh. Cost to sell is 2%. So 6 lakh minus 12,000. 5 lakh 90, 6 lakh minus 12,000. So 5 lakh 88,000. So from 490, it become 5 lakh 88. So what is the difference between 490 and 588?
98.
98,000. So biological asset account debit to gain other income, 98,000, right? So this is the entry for subsequent measurement and initial measurement. Is that right? Is that right, friends? ये सब समझ आ गया या नहीं आया?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? This is a very small standard. This is not a very big standard. Let me tell you. Very small standard. Okay. Now let me take you to the government grants, right? And then we will do a comprehensive question of this entire Ind AS 41, correct? Have you already covered Ind AS 20 government grant standard? Was it covered? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Friends, Ind AS 20 government grant covers all the government grants except government grants for biological asset, right? If there is a government grant for biological asset, right? And if that biological asset is measured at cost, when the biological asset will be measured at cost? When the biological asset will be measured at cost? When it is a bearer plant. Bearer plant भी तो biological asset ही होता है ना? Bearer plant is also a biological asset, right? But that bearer plant is not covered under Ind AS 41. That bearer plant is covered under Ind AS 16, property, plant and equipment. और Ind AS 16 क्या बोलता है? Property, plant and equipment has to be initially measured at
Cost.
cost. So if a biological asset is measured at cost and the company has received the government grant for that biological asset, in that case, that government grant has to be covered as per Ind AS 20, as per the normal standard. But if the company has got a government grant for biological asset, which is measured at fair value less cost to sell, when a biological asset will be measured at fair value less cost to sell? When it is covered under Ind AS 41. Ind AS 41. So those biological assets which are related to agricultural activity, right? In case of animal, if it is related to agricultural activity, in case of plant, if it is a non-bearer plant, correct? So if the biological asset is measured at fair value less cost to sell, in that case, the government grant relating to that biological asset will also be covered under Ind AS 41, right? Now, what is the accounting treatment? There could be two type of grants. Number one, when the grant is conditional. Number two, when the grant is unconditional, right? So friends, when the grant is unconditional, what is meant by unconditional? There is no condition attached to the grant. Let's say the Uttar Pradesh government has told Parag Milk and Food Limited that Mr. Parag Milk and Food Limited, you are doing a very good work. You are doing a great work. You are maintaining 2,611 cows. Okay, a big chunk of cows, and you are maintaining the cow very well. So we are giving you a grant of 5 crore rupees, right? Is there any condition relating to that grant? The government is saying we are very happy. You are maintaining your animal very well. So we are giving you a check of rupees 5 crore as a grant. No condition. No condition.
No condition.
So when this grant will be recognized, simple government has announced that we will give you. So at what point of time you will recognize this grant?
Immediately when we receive.
So
When it becomes receivable.
this government grant will be recognized when it becomes receivable, not when it actually received, right? When it will become receivable. For example, on 28th February, the government has announced this grant, and on 15th of March, the government has issued a letter to the Parag Milk and Food Limited that we are giving you a grant of rupees 5 crore. And this grant was actually received on 15th of April. So when the accounting will happen, whether the accounting will happen in the last year or in the year in which the grant is received?
The last year when when the letter we got the grant will receive.
Yes, when the letter was received for the grant, it become receivable because the government has issued a letter that we are going to give you 5 crore rupees. The only thing is you will get this 5 crore rupees of amount credited in the next year, right? So when the grant is unconditional, you have to recognize the government grant when it become receivable. When it become receivable. And where this government grant will go? Bank
P&L.
account. For
Direct
example,
deposit.
government grant receivable account debit to what? What will be credited? To other
Other
income.
in
To other income, right? To other income. So when the government grant is unconditional, whenever it becomes receivable, you have to debit government grant receivable account debit to other income, right? And when the money will receive, bank account debit to government grant receivable account, correct? But what happens when the government grant is conditional? For example, the government has given a grant of rupees 5 crore, okay, to a company, and the condition is to cultivate a land for 5 years, and government has told that I'm giving you 5 crore rupees and you have to cultivate this land for 5 years. If you will not cultivate this land even for a period which is 1 month lesser, if you will not cultivate for full 5 year and you are cultivating only for 4 year and 11 months, still we will withdraw your grant. The government has credited the grant. The government has given the money of 5 crore upfront. But there is a condition to cultivate the land for the full 5 years. Friends, when you will recognize this government grant? It is
after
conditional
5.
after 5 years. When the condition relating to the grant will met, right? So even though in the last month, this company has cultivated for the 4 years and 11 months, but if in the last month, this company will not cultivate, the entire grant will become refundable to the government, right? So even though the money has received, पैसा पहले ही आ गया, फिर भी you will not recognize income. What accounting you will do? You will do bank account debit to government grant liability account, right? But after 5 years, you will debit this liability, government grant liability account debit to other income. Is that fine? Is that fine, my dear friends? So let me write down the accounting entries for your benefit. So let me put the accounting entries for government grant. Okay. Shall I write the accounting entries in the Excel file for the government grant? Should I write or should I not write? Government
Right.
grant, conditional. So I'll write with the help of the example. Government grant, conditional grant. A Limited receive a grant of rupees 5 crore with a condition that it needs to cultivate the land for 5 years. If it is not cultivated for entire 5 years, the grant will become refundable. So what is the accounting entry at the time of receipt of grant? Year 1. Tell me quickly what is the accounting entry?
Bank or cash account debit to government grant liability.
Very good. And at the end of second, third, and fourth year, what is the entry? So at the time of receipt of grant, upfront, you have written this entry. But what is the accounting entry in the next fourth? No entry.
No
No
entry.
entry. At the end of second, third, and fourth year, no entry. What is the accounting entry at the end of the 5th year?
Government grant line, other income.
Very good.
Liability to other
Very
income.
I hope these accounting entries are which you guys have told me, and I have just put these accounting entries in the Excel file, correct? Now, let's talk about some unconditional government grant. Okay. A Limited receives a grant of rupees 5 crore with a condition. So this is partially conditional, partially unconditional, right? A Limited receives a grant of rupees 5 crore with a condition that it needs to cultivate the land for 5 years. If the entity will not cultivate in a particular year, then pro rata grant will be refunded. Then pro rata, not the full grant. So what is the accounting entry? At the time of receipt of grant, what is the
First
accounting
entry.
entry? Tell me, at the time of receipt of grant, what is the accounting entry? Bank
First
account to
entry.
government grant liability? At the time of receipt of grant upfront, on the day 1. यही एंट्री होगी ना day 1 पे?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
At the end of year 1, what is the accounting entry? At the end of year 1, the company has cultivated the land. What is the accounting entry at the end of year 1?
The proportional
The government grant to other income, one crore.
Yes, government grant liability account debit. Why? Why you are debiting this pro rata liability? Because this is not refundable now. This is not refundable. Why? Because the government has told, I will only take the refund for the period in which you will not cultivate. So they have already cultivated for the first year. So 5 divided by 5 year. Okay. 2 what? Other income. Credit. Very good. What is the accounting entry in the future years at the end of year 2, 3, 4, 5?
Sir, if cultivated, the same entry has
Same
happened.
same entry has to be repeated. If cultivated, same entry has to be repeated. Correct. At the end of year 2, same entry, government grant liability to this. Okay. Same entry, right? Same entry. What is the balance here? What is the balance liability?
3
What
lakhs.
is the
4 or
what is,
3.
what is the balance liability at the end of the first year? Balance liability. 5 minus 1. What is the balance liability at the end of the second year?
3.
4 minus 1. Same accounting entry at the end of year 3. Okay, balance liability 3 minus 1, 2. Same entry at the end of year 4. Balance liability 1. Now let's say the company has not cultivated in the year 5 and
Government grant
the
liability to bank.
grant become refundable. What is the accounting entry?
Liability
Grant
debit to
bank.
bank.
Again, government grant liability to debit होगी. To what?
Bank.
To bank. Right? To bank. I hope this government grant part is also clear to each and every one of you. Is that clear? Not clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yeah. Now we'll do a comprehensive question and then we will conclude the today's session. Illustration number 4. This is a comprehensive question, right? Moon Limited. I hope my PPT is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Moon Limited prepares financial statement to 31st March each year. And you need to focus that how I'm reading this question, right? Moon Limited prepare financial statement to 31st March each year. On 1st April 2001, the company carried out the following transactions. Purchased a land for rupees 50 lakh. Whether this land will be covered under Ind AS 41? No, this land is not Ind AS 41. This land is Ind AS 16. PP. Okay. So this land will come under PP. Purchased 200 dairy cows. These dairy cows are biological asset. Average age on 1st April 2001 is 2 years. See, there are 200 dairy cows. The age is 2 years for rupees 10 lakh. So the total value was 10 lakh and there are 200 cows. What is the per unit price of the cow? What is the per unit price of the dairy cow? 5,000 rupees. 10 lakh divided by 200. 5,000 rupees, correct? This is 5,000 rupees. Okay. Then received a grant of rupees 1 million, 10 lakh. Towards the acquisition of cows, the grant was non-refundable. So unconditional grant. Correct? It is non-refundable. So if it is non-refundable, what is the entry? What is the accounting entry?
Government grant or other income.
So bank to government grant liability to other income, or simple bank to other income. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for these first 3 items, at least we are clear in our mind that what are the entries and where it will be going to be covered. For the year ending 31st March 2002, means after 1 year, the company has incurred following costs. 6 lakh to maintain the condition of the animal, food and protection. What is this recurring maintenance expenses? Where it will go? 6 lakh rupees?
P&L.
P&L. This is an expense. 4 lakh as a breeding fee to a local farmer. Where this 4 lakh rupees will go as a breeding fee? This will also go to P&L, right?
P&L.
Cost. On 1st October 2001. So it means we are talking about 1st April 2001. After 6 months on 1st October 2001. 100 calves were born. 100 calves were born. There were no changes. There were no other changes in the number of animals during the year ended 31st March 2002. So this company has purchased 200 cows on 1st April. And then out of these 200 cows, there are 100 calves which are born on 1st October. So what is the total quantity of the animal as on 31st March 2002?
300.
300. 200 cows and 100 calves. There were no other changes in the number of animal during this year ended as of 31st March to Moon Limited had 3,000 liter of unsold milk in inventory. So what is this 3,000 liter of unsold milk? It was agriculture produce, and on the balance sheet date, it has transferred to the inventory, correct? So 3,000 liter of unsold milk in inventory. The milk was sold shortly after the year end at market prices. So whatever I have covered so far in this illustration number 4, have you been able to understand this question? The content of the question? Yes?
sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, some table is also given. Some information is given in the table. Information regarding fair value is as follows. There are some items on 1st October and on 31st March. 3 dates are given. 1st April, initial information, initial measurement. 31st March, reporting date, and 1st October when the calf was born. The fair value of the land was given at various point of time. Is it relevant? Is it relevant? The fair value of the land was given at various point of time.
No,
Yes.
sir.
Calculation.
So basically the land is not Ind AS 41 item, land is Ind AS 16 item. If the company has opted for revaluation model, then it will become relevant, otherwise not. If the company has opted for cost model, then this land is continue at cost, correct, which is 50 lakh. सही है ना? क्लियर है ये? लैंड का फेयर, और वैसे भी लैंड जो होती है वो जब आप रीवैल्यूएशन करते हो तो फेयर वैल्यू पे होती है, फेयर वैल्यू लेस कॉस्ट टू सेल पे नहीं होती. ओके, the revaluation under Ind AS 16 or Ind AS 38 is happening at a fair value. It is not happening at a fair value less cost to sell. Okay, so whether this fair value less cost to sell for the land is relevant?
Not for India 41 under this question, sir.
Yeah, not for Ind AS 41 in this question, right? Because land is a Ind AS 16 item, not 41 item. Newborn calves per calf. And these newborn calves were born on 1st October. So whether the value of newborn calves on 1st April 2001 is relevant?
Yes, sir.
No. No. How come it is relevant? The newborn calf was born on 1st October. And the fair value of 1st April is also
1st October relevant, sir. 1st
given
April,
for
sir.
the newborn calf. It is not relevant, na? So you have to
Yes.
first recognize. Sorry.
Sir, your voice is getting stuck.
Okay, just a minute. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying, in this question, in this table, the information relating to newborn calf is given for 1st April 2001. So is it relevant for this question?
No.
No, sir.
No. Why? Because the newborn calf was born on 1st October. So the accounting will start from here, right? So the value of newborn calf was 1100 rupees. Okay. 1100 rupees per calf. Right. On 31st March 2002, it will become 1200. So newborn calf value from 1100 was the initial measurement value. It has become 1200, right? So if from 1100 to 1200, whether it is a price change or physical change?
Physical change.
Price change. ये newborn calf की value है ना? So even if this newborn calf has not grown up, right?
Okay, sir.
तो
Yes.
जीरो एज पे 1 अक्टूबर में 1100 वैल्यू है, जीरो एज पे 31 मार्च 2002 पे 1200 वैल्यू है.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Then in
This
the
is a
next
price
line,
change.
in the next line, 6-month old calf value has given. Is it relevant?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is relevant. On 31st March 2002, this calf who was born on 1st October has become 6 months old, and the value was 1300. So from 1100 it become 1300. What is the fair value change due to price, due to physical?
100
rupees.
dollars.
100 due to price change, 100 due to biological transformation, physical change. Is that clear? बहुत सिंपल है ना, कि अगर एज नहीं बदली होती तो क्या प्राइस होता, और एज बदलने की वजह से टोटल प्राइस कितना हो गया, दोनों का डिफरेंस माइनस प्राइस चेंज. Is that clear? 2-year-old cows, 2-year-old cows value was given on 1st April. It was 5,000. You remember 200 cows, 10 lakh rupees. हमने 200 गाय खरीदी थी ना 10 लाख रुपए में. So 5,000 was the 1st April 2001 value, right? Forget about 1st October because now we have to go to the reporting date. So the value of 2-year-old cow from 5,000 has become 5,200. Is there any relevance of this 5,200?
Yes.
What is the
Yes, sir.
relevance?
Price.
Price change. The fair value has been increased by 200 due to price change. But the value of 3-year-old cow is 5,500. And this cow has become 3-year-old now.
Physical change, 300.
300. So basically from 5,000 to 5,500, 200 is on account of price change, 300 is on account of physical change. And then the closing value of milk is also given 24 rupees per liter, right? So why this 24 rupee will be used? This 24 will be used for the valuation of inventory. Prepare extract from the balance sheet and statement of profit and loss that would be reflected in the financial statement of the entity for the year ended 31st March 2002. I hope all the information you guys have understood. Shall I start preparing the balance sheet and the P&L? बनाना शुरू करूं मैं? करूं या नहीं करूं?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me draft this balance sheet and P&L for you guys. Okay. So just to save time, I'll copy some from the last extracts. Illustration number 4, balance sheet extracts, P&L extracts. Okay. In the balance sheet extracts, there was an asset side, assets. In the asset, there was a land, which will be covered under property, plant and equipment, PPE. PPE. So let me write PP, land. Land. What is the value of this land? Land का value कितना था? What is the value of this land?
50 lakhs.
50 lakh is the value of this land. 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 50 lakh.
Mm.
50 lakh was the value of this land, assuming cost model, right? Assuming cost model. सही है ना? Cost model assume कर लिया मैंने. Then, after this land, there was a biological asset also. There were 2 biological assets at the end of the year. There was 2 biological assets. Cow 3-year-old and calf 6 months old. ठीक है ना? ये 2 साल की काव 3 साल की हो गई, काफ 6 महीने का हो गया. Is that right? सही है नहीं है?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And there was one more asset. There was one more asset, inventory. Inventory भी है ना एक? Inventory. Milk. Okay. In the P&L, there was some income and expenses also given in the P&L. Income. कौन सी income P&L में थी? एक you remember वो government grant थी ना? There was a government grant. Government grant थी ना 10 lakh rupees की, which was non-refundable. Question में दिया था ना? So government grant 10 lakh rupees. Okay. और क्या क्या आएगा? कुछ expense भी दिए थे question में. There was some expenses also. वो था ना मेंटेनेंस का एक्सपेंस, ब्रीडिंग फी का एक्सपेंस, यू रिमेम्बर
Yes,
दोस
sir. 6
एक्सपेंसेस?
lakh maintenance expense.
हाँ, so maintenance expense and breeding fees, that was also there. Okay, 6 lakh and 4 lakh. So now I have to fill in the blanks. I have to do the accounting of biological asset and milk as well. So I have to prepare some working notes. Okay. In this question, on 1st April 2001, the calf was purchased. What was the value of the cow was purchased. What was the value of the cow? 10 lakh divided by 200, 5,000 is the value of the cow, correct? Cow की वैल्यू 5,000 है ना,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
और नंबर ऑफ काउ कितनी है 200. क्लोजिंग वैल्यू काउ की कितनी है? व्हाट इज द क्लोजिंग वैल्यू ऑफ काउ? 5500. व्हाट इज द क्लोजिंग वैल्यू ऑफ काउ? 5500 है ना, क्वेश्चन में दिया था ना 31 मार्च 2002 को काउ की वैल्यू 5500 हो गई. सो व्हाट इज द फेयर वैल्यू एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर? व्हाट इज द फेयर वैल्यू एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर?
5500.
11 lakh. 5500 multiplied by 200, 11 lakh. So what will go into the balance sheet? What will go to the balance sheet? Cow 3-year-old is 11 lakh. Any doubt on this 11 lakh number? जो 10 लाख रुपए की गाय खरीदी थी वो 11 लाख की हो गई अब. ओके, एंड there is a change in the value of cow also, right? So basically at the time of initial recognition, what was my accounting entry? At the time of initial recognition, when I purchased the cow at 10 lakh rupees, what was the accounting entry?
Biological
asset, cow account debit to bank 10 lakh. इस क्वेश्चन में जो 10 लाख रुपीज है फेयर वैल्यू लेस कॉस्ट टू सेल ही दी हुई है, उसी पे परचेज हुआ है, बिकॉज कॉस्ट टू सेल अलग से नहीं दिया. और फेयर वैल्यू लेस कॉस्ट टू सेल भी 5,000 रुपीज. आपने देखा था ना टेबल में, 1 अप्रैल को जो वैल्यू है वो 5,000 की वैल्यू है टेबल में. सही है ना?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
तो व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट एंट्री? अगर मैंने 10 लाख पे रिकॉग्नाइज किया, so 5,000 become 5,500. What is my next entry on 31st March 2002? I have to recognize the subsequent increase in fair value less cost to sell. Biological asset account debit to other income 1 lakh rupee, correct? ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
So basically this 11 lakh will come here and income में क्या जाएगा? Fair value change in cow. Fair value changes in cow. What is the fair value changes? 1 lakh रुपए. 1 लाख रुपए आ गया ना अदर इनकम में, 1 लाख रुपए. यहां पर किसी को कोई डाउट, यहां पर कोई परेशानी?
No, sir.
Okay, now the next accounting entry. Calf. You remember? The calf was born. 100 calves were born on 1st October. Correct? And what was the fair value when the calves were born? What was the fair value given in the table at the time of birth of the calf?
1100.
100.
1100. So 1100 multiplied by 100. What is the total value? 1,10,000. What is the accounting entry on the birth of the calf? Accounting entry is biological asset calf account debit to other income. Right? Fair value less cost to sell is 1100. Fair value less cost to sell. Less cost to sell is 1100. Correct? So what is the accounting entry on 31st March 2002 of the calf? This 1100 become 1300. तो 200 से बढ़ गया, तो 200 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 100 क्या अकाउंटिंग एंट्री होगी?
To other income.
Biological asset calf account debit to other income, right? To other income, right? So what is my closing value of the calf? What is my closing value of the calf?
130.
130. 130 will be my closing value of the calf. 110 plus 20. And what will go to the other income? What will go to the other income? क्या क्या जाएगा other income में?
20,000.
30,000.
Income from newborn calf. Newborn calf. 110 plus
20,000.
20,000, right?
सर
Yes.
अगर यहाँ पे OCI अकाउंट होता तो यहाँ ये फेयर वैल्यू चेंजेस इनका ये OCI में जाता ना?
नहीं, OCI में नहीं जाता. This fair value change will go to P&L, not in OCI. This is
Okay.
not an OCI item. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
there is nothing called OCI account. If you see the Parag Milk and Food balance sheet, P&L, you will not find this item in OCI.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So we have prepared this balance sheet, P&L. Now one item has been left. What is left? Inventory, milk, right? What was the inventory for the milk? This milk was how many liter? This milk was 24 rupees, 3,000 liter. 3,000 liter milk was there. So what was the accounting entry at the point of harvest? Agriculture produce account debit to other income, inventory to. So
Other income.
first entry agriculture produce to other income, the second entry inventory to agriculture produce. So this will go to 72,000. So income from what? Income from what? Income, agriculture produce milk. Agriculture produce milk. 72,000. And this inventory is also 72,000, correct? This is also 72,000.
बानो मैंने यहाँ पे टेक्निक लगा के थैला मैंने कहा धोने में डाल दे.
Can you please mute yourself? Yes. So this is 72,000. So these are the balance sheet extracts. Okay. And this is the P&L extract. So what is my total income and my total this thing? So this is my total of income and this is my expenses. Okay. My total of income is 13,02,000. These are the extracts, not the complete P&L. These are the extracts. Okay. 13,02,000. And your total expense is how much? 10 lakh. And your profit is 3,02,000. Okay. Your profit is 3,02,000.
सर इसे हम नेट एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम बोल सकते हैं.
किसको?
नेट एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम बोल सकते हैं.
This profit?
Yes, sir.
Are you talking about this profit? Yes, you can say that it is net agricultural income. Yes, you can say that. But there is nothing called, such nomenclature in Ind AS 1 or Ind AS 41 where you need to call out like this, right? वो आपके Schedule 3 में ऐसा कोई nomenclature नहीं है. Okay? Just for the purpose of layman understanding, you can call it out, but you cannot say in terms of your, practical life or in your examination. Okay. I hope this illustration number 4 is clear to each and every one of you. सबको क्लियर हो गया? क्लियर हो गया?
Yes, sir, clear.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Any question, any doubt from Ind AS 41? This is very small standard. So we started with, we started with the scope, then what is not included. Sorry. Any question? Or shall I conclude the session if there is no any question? Let me know if there is any question. No question? Okay, thank you, friends. If you don't have any questions, so let me conclude the session today. Thank you very much. And I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed the session. I would request all of you, please see the Parag Milk and Food Limited balance sheet as well, annual report as well. It will give you more clarity, right? It will just print the entire concept into your mind. It will give you more clarity. Okay. So thank you, friends. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Sir,
Yes.
earlier you have told the feedback, and today I want to give you some feedback from me.
Okay.
Sir, it is my passion also to singing, and I want to sing something for you.
Oh, please.
गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाए गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंद दियो बताए कबीरा गोविंद दियो बता थैंक यू सर
Thank you. I'm really touched. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Yeah, session is over.